I'd like to call to order the Town of Blissey's Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for 19 February 2025. Members in attendance tonight are Cheryl Thompson, Karen Metter, Andy Hillman, David Tyler, and me, Steve Morielli. And joining us for the first time is Kim Moore, who will be serving as our BZA alternate as we move forward. David. Thanks. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. No liaison for the town board tonight. Our town planner is Niels Tigason and Molly Dool, who will also be recording our proceedings tonight. So that's it for the attendance. I want to, before I continue, I'm not sure what the protocol is, but I think I want to say something about appointing Karen Metter as a full member.
Right.
How do we do that and when do we do that? Do we vote it or is it already done deal?
It's already done. The town board did that during its organization meeting in January.
Excellent. So.
Okay, so you're a full-blown member?
Yes, thank
Good.
you.
Good, thanks. Thank you. You kidding? Thanks. Really appreciate it. All right. Anybody have anything to add to contribute to tonight's agenda before we move through the agenda? Anything at the end? Okay, great.
I have just a quick
Yep.
thing towards the end.
You had something to add later on?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, great. Remind me of it if I'm blazing through.
Yes.
Our first item on the agenda is a review of the meeting minutes from 23 October. I'd like to invite any edits or corrections, questions from the board. Give you a minute to pour over stuff or look up your notes.
I had a few things I noticed needed to be reworded a bit, but I didn't necessarily come up with the perfect wording.
Okay, if it's the same place I saw, I'm curious. Go ahead.
The end of the second page, that last sentence.
Second page?
Yeah. Page 2.
Yep.
The fourth area variance request is a release from blah, blah, blah. To
That's the
exceed.
resolution. I thought we couldn't change that.
Mhm. Oh, we can't change it.
If they're minor Scrivener errors or something, we can do that. But if it's anything substantive, we have to reopen a hearing.
Oh. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just see if that was. Okay, it's probably fine. The wording didn't really make sense to me. To exceed the maximum lot coverage from 7.5% to 12.6%.
The max was 7.5 and we're saying it was okay to go to 12.6.
Mhm.
That was the,
This seems a little unclear, like. To exceed.
I read it twice and I was like, yeah, okay. That's
All right,
fine.
okay, cool, all right,
It says what it, I think.
all right, then the next thing was number 3 on page 4. At the end of the. Yeah, at the end of number 3, it says other justification language as needed, which I think is a placeholder.
That was a placeholder
Something else.
comment.
that We didn't necessarily come up with.
I think
it.
that was just a muttered comment, or some other justification there. So I think we strike that. Is that what you're suggesting?
Desirable outcome for the owners will preserve the character of the site. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fine. Just put
everything
a
after
period.
the slash and beyond, right?
Mhm.
That's the way I had it also. While we're there, before we move to part, you have a kind of a stray comma, sorry. In that sentence, but it shows up in the 3 other times it's done. And 2 other times. So you have some other method, comma, feasible, that's just. An errant comma, it lost its way.
Okay, just delete that.
And that shows up 2 more times, so I went back and corrected it just for. Shows up in number 9 also on the same page. Just because we repeated the wording and.
Okay.
And then it shows up on number 21 on the next page. What else you got, Joe?
Well, again, this wording just doesn't make sense to me, but maybe it's just fine, as long as everyone knows what it means. The alleged difficulty to reduce the minimum required lot area,
Very good.
number 6.
Okay. On that same page, okay.
The alleged difficulty to reduce the minimum, that just doesn't read to me, but, I know I know what it's about. Does it make sense enough to everyone else?
I know what it's about.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. But it's, what do we do to? Request an area limits, reduce the minimum-
This is a long version, but the alleged difficulty causing the
Yeah,
person to ask for. No. I had it, I remember that, alleged difficulty.
well, the difficulty though, it's the alleged difficulty.
Causing. Right,
Oh, yeah, I know, I mean, I would track the sentence, but I'm not sure it's worth it. So the
Okay.
alleged difficulty, which was the difficulty of the person
mhm.
by the appellant. To reduce, the difficulty to reduce the minimum is self-created.
The alleged difficulty causing
I know,
the
but
need to
man.
reduce, how about that?
I would, I'll be okay with that if we didn't have to go through contortions, but
Is it hard? Okay.
I don't know,
Is
after what
that-
Neil's just said.
No,
Like for me, I just wanna say the alleged
because it's really not changing it, it's just changing the wording to make it, yeah, the
Causing.
alleged difficulty. Causing the need to reduce. And then. Does that make more sense or no? Are you gonna work? No,
fine with
seven,
me.
what?
It's fine with me, it's up to you.
It's, I would consider that de minimis, and if the board agrees to that, we can change it. It's not just changing the minutes, it's also changing that resolution though, just.
Okay,
To
so
be
never
fair.
mind, I don't, it's not that important, as long as it makes sense to. Resolution, okay, I got it.
I think it's not worded great, but I think it's
We know what they're
not
talking.
confusing.
I agree with Karen, I think I could live with it.
Okay, I can live with it. Too.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure,
At the end of the paragraph 14, it says, due to, and then it says need restriction. Is that the way you want to have it articulated? Restriction of further development that will be
which
required.
page you on, by the way?
Um,
Or
14, the last line of 14.
page? Page
Paragraph.
14, or is it?
Paragraph 14, point 14.
On page 4, right?
Yeah.
Look at the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your statement?
On this question, that's, everybody's content with that wording. Wording about further development. Being required as a condition of the approval.
It's the whole phrase. I think I'm okay with it. I read that. I was like, yeah, that's about right.
Okay,
Because it's due to a deed restriction on further development
right,
was the phrase
okay.
that will be required as a condition of the
Okay,
approval. So,
now, I have a little sad news to share tonight. The applicant's attorney passed on 2 days ago.
Oh my
so
god,
that's coming back to us.
So what I'm saying is, I guess if you saw my email, I was concerned about, having the deed restriction, we have proof of that in our files, which we missed on. We missed on the,
Well, for that one, right? But the next one,
right, so so I guess after the question is, and Niels will probably have to follow up on this, because the office is in chaos.
Mhm.
And I'm sure I'd be surprised if there had been, something reported. So you'll have to follow up on that, make sure that it happens.
Yeah, it was tied to the approved subdivision as well, and we haven't
Right.
received anything, so.
right? So it's really not, doesn't seem to be moving forward at all then, huh? I mean, still?
I mean, the planning board granted approval, but the deed restriction and all the stuff the planning board needed to do hasn't been recorded yet, so
Okay.
it's kind of in stasis in their
They're not-
hands.
And the village isn't really involved with this, and they just gave it to us, basically.
The village has to do their own variances and subdivisions.
So we may see it again or never see it again. Okay, I do want to point out that I think we said a deed restriction prohibiting any additional structure shall be in certified copy recorded and instrument shall be filed with the town and submission of final plat for approval signatures.
Right now, that's also go to the village. This, the certified copy should come to
Well,
both.
but I'm saying that I think there was a one before that we didn't do that. I thought we covered it this time.
I think we didn't cover as adequately when the cars thing was done 2 or 3
That was
years
the
ago.
one, right? So this one I thought we covered.
I think, although it doesn't say,
And I think that we are here to represent the town, so I'm fine with not.
right, but
saying the
what I'm
village.
saying is, in all fairness to the village,
Sure,
the village is also
okay,
involved.
but we did cover this, so I think
Right,
we're
right.
fine. And any future request, shall be required the approval by the BZA.
Right,
as well.
exactly,
So I
yeah.
thought we covered it nicely here.
Right, no, but I guess what I'm saying is, the certified copy of the deed restriction still go to the village.
Yeah. Sure, that's fine. We're not gonna add that
Yeah.
now, though, right?
No,
Next
I-
time, let's
Yeah.
remember that. I thought these words were good and, let's add that next time too. If it's the village, if we ever do this
So-
with the village,
Well, no, I think this should be done now.
I can't, no, we can't do that.
No, I'm saying. When the deed gets recorded and we get the certified copy. Now is gonna get a certain copy, a courtesy copy to the village, so it's in their
I'm
file,
fine with that. I'm fine with that.
yeah.
While we're on that, are you over there on page 6? Conditions of approval, 1, a deed prohibiting blah, blah, blah. Shall be recorded against parcel A, what does that mean? Against is the right word there?
I think it should be. Affect the whole parcel A and B.
But what does that mean against? I'm just
Well,
curious about the
against
word.
means. It means.
It's limiting it.
Affecting the future of those 2 parcels.
Well, I get what the gist is, I'm just not sure what the word against means in this case. Maybe it's a legal word, I don't
Well,
know.
it should be with respect to,
Recorded with parcel A, right? With the, what do we,
well, I think that if I remember what happened. There was a single buyer.
Yeah.
For the village and the town parcels.
well, I'm just questioning the word against, that's all.
If you think about it as a restriction
With-
against,
Right,
Okay. A restriction prohibiting recorded against. Okay, I'm fine with it. I take it back. I withdraw.
no, I mean, against the further development.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, you got me. I'm fine with that. Anything else, Cheryl?
nope,
Karen?
No, I'm fine.
Andy, anything?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes.
So.
Any second?
Second,
Okay, a vote on approval of the minutes.
I.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Approval, motion's passed. Thank you, Molly. Good job, very good job.
that was a lot
I
of
had to
work.
really look hard for those stray commas.
Thanks for finding out.
Anyway, so
You kidding?
now you don't have to bird dog the recorded restriction. It's probably gonna be a month or 2 before you'll be able to do that.
Or more.
Unless the deed has already been done. I don't know if it's been done and recorded. Then you will have to get a copy.
Yep.
But if not. 3 or 4 years from now, we don't have to have it, well, I thought that was, that's what happened with the cars thing,
We have the minutes, so we'll be okay.
yeah.
Okay, so
Is bird dogging in your job description?
Well, we had the minutes before,
that's why we changed it. That's why we amended this guy.
right,
We did a good job. Okay, first item on the agenda is a review of the meeting minute. I'm sorry about that. First item of new business is an appeal from applicant Sean Ritchie on behalf, right, Sean? On behalf of the owner, Dina Crossmore, who proposes to construct a new 50-foot tram system from the upper portion of the subject lot down the steep slope to the lower portion of the lot near the shoreline. 2 area variances are requested from the Board of Zoning Appeals as part of an overall site plan review with the planning board. reduction of the 50-foot minimum required from yard, front yard setback under the code of town of Ulysses, CTU 212-47.e, and reduction of the 75-foot minimum required buffer setback from the lake under CTU 212-124.b. Property is located at 1125 Tuganic Boulevard.
So I might excuse,
Can you state it for the record, please? Your request is,
my request is to be recused from the hearing on this, affairs of this matter because of my association with the applicant on two separate matters.
okay, great,
One a current matter and one a prior matter.
that's fine, that's great. I appreciate you doing that. So you think it's a conflict and.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
good.
I would
love it.
I would feel awkward.
That's what matters, and then perception is what matters, so all the people want,
Yeah.
so I trust your judgment on that. All right, well, thank you very much, so
Okay, thank you. And
enjoy the night.
Cheryl, you want to take your seat over here?
Yeah.
I mean, they're a little, let's see, what's.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, okay. It's here.
Where's Cheryl's? Thanks, Steve. Cheryl's in Cleveland? What's your name?
Either there.
Oh. Have a good night, David. Careful out there, it's slippery.
Yeah, have you heard about Chuck?
We did, yes, yeah.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so back on track then, is the appellant or representative here? You're gonna present to us?
Yes.
That'd be great. Can you state your case and usual? Yeah, before I do, can I say, was a notice of public hearing given, advertised and letters sent to neighborhood,
Yep.
Yep, and did we receive any written comments other than from Katie Borgella?
We did not.
Okay, so from the town of, from Ithaca owned, right? Town of Ithaca or city of, or the health department, what is she?
Tompkins
She's-
County.
Tompkins County, yes.
Planning department, yeah.
No, that's the only one we got. All right, good. Okay,
Great, well, hello, everybody again, my name is Sean Ortiz, and I work for FLX Tram, out of Masson, New York. So I'm here 2 times and I could give you a couple of things, for inviting us back, or having us back, I should say.
Mhm.
We like, this tram project is, one a half dozen we've done in the town over the past couple of years. We're proposing to put a 50-foot tram in. The Crosspoint have a property $1.89, less than 25, and currently they have a steep slope down by that was a long sloping property down to the cliff, and then you put a cliff down to the lower yard area, and their house is located down there, and they live there year round. So most of the time, it's been challenging at times to get down there and use the stairs behind the house, and the tram is gonna help facilitate their safety getting to the house. Trams that we've done, the slope, and it will end up being about 50 degrees, so we don't have like a diesel tram. There'll be a upper station to enter the tram at the top of the cliff, and then it will go down to the lower.
Excuse me. I think I didn't make you explain why I'm on the record, why I'm recusing myself.
I think you did.
Well, I mean,
You said you had business, you were dealings with before and.
well, I mean, it's current. The church my church has a matter which, the Cornell University, where my wife is the chair of the board of trustees. And had representatives, several years ago
Mhm.
on a real estate matter, so. They're both real estate matters, and so anyway, so I just want to make sure that record reflects that.
No, that's good, and we trust your judgment, so that's good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Sean.
Sure, no problem. This tram being 50-foot will have, we'll call it 3-station tram, will have a upper station. Pretty much level with the lower part of their driveway, where they'll park in the car. The upper station is kind of our main station where you enter the tram. And then it will have a station down at the lower level with a of the lot, but then it will have it's really a third station or mid station at their house level. Their main entrance to their house is really 1 story above the lower lot, so you'll be able to go from the top station to the house or all the way down to the lower backyard, if you will. Each station will have, station doors to access the tram, will have control boxes, so you can call the tram to either of the 3 stations, so. That's fairly straightforward, system, straight track. All the scratch and bar components that you want. The tram system itself, but very standard to what we've done. In the past, everything, aluminum painted brown or anodized brown, aesthetics, actually. We affixed the tram to this cliff with aluminum pilings, 2-inch pipe. Little props here passed around. It was interesting a few times, but these are driven into the ground, and
then what device are you gonna use to drive them? You're not driving down, you're gonna use the handheld?
we're not.
Yep.
The very first trams 15 years
Yeah,
ago, we
right.
would use a little mini excavator. We kind of got rid of that system.
Mhm.
We used hand operated, like 80-pound, they're called Titan pounders, they're gas powered fence pile drivers, really.
Mhm.
Work really well. The surface, the soil in this area is off the Finger Lakes, that hard shale dirt combination is just perfect for what we do.
And it anchors nicely?
It hangs beautifully. Yeah,
Yeah.
typically we go to refusal, which is like 42 inches, get below the frost line, sometimes go a little bit deeper.
Mhm.
If we were to hit like like a hard rock or something, we can easily reposition the pipe. If we hit like a bed of granite, like we have in
Yeah.
this case, then there's other techniques to attach. That's pretty rare around here, but we'll drill and use different techniques to attach to the rock, and then.
So how far can you go when you're picking up the pipe and going, all right, we gotta move it? How far can you move it and still be, fine? in terms
Well,
of structural
technically,
support?
we could go, typically we try, it's really more aesthetics for our crew members who are pretty
Yeah, you wanna-
specific. They don't like to see, all the pipes, but you could go a foot or 2 foot. The beauty of the system is there's some flexibility, because then we put a cross pipe. Every 12 feet, we put a pair of these pipe, and then once the pairs, they have to be even. And then the cross pipe could be anywhere from 60 inches to 75 inches, and wider if needed. Gives us some flexibility there.
So they don't have to be even distance apart, they can be
No,
very, okay.
no, yeah, that's correct. Matter of fact, if we'll do a system where we'll put an egress stair system on some of our systems,
Mhm.
then we'll
That's
spread.
the one that's on the side?
Correct,
Side
yeah.
of it? And you're gonna do that on this one? or-
We are not,
Oh, okay.
but they could be added down the road. That'd be another decision to make, but they have a stair system, not directly next to, but close,
Right,
not to get it to the house. But you could just extend your pipe, you spread them a little bit farther apart, and then the cross piece is a little bit longer. That's of course the stair system too. So
So does that need
there's some
another-
flexibility.
Niels, does that need another variance? I'm just curious from the last time we talked about this.
No.
They wouldn't to do more work to adjust the width of the,
No, because they're not within a side setback. It's just the setback to the lake and front lot line.
yeah, it'd just be that one, right? Not the side. Okay, yeah, good. That's right. I think we encountered that the other time, dude.
Yeah,
Actually, be encroaching more on the
side
side
setback.
setback, yeah.
Yeah, one of the key features of the pipe is that it's hollow, but it's very less intrusive to the land. So compared to a traditional staircase where you're digging a 12-foot hole in your concrete and sound on tubes, that kind of thing. It's a high degree less of impact to the cliff, so you're not disturbing the soil. Matter of fact, the whole pipe system would probably fit in about a square foot of soil disturbance. You can probably have 25 of these pipes. If you think about going back to high school geometry, that's gives a bunch of us some shivers there. But it's very low impact to the hill. That's kind of a question that comes up. That's probably why we do that technique.
Except that that compresses the soil even inside the tube a little bit too, but
It does. Yeah, exactly.
it's not a lot, but it's,
Yeah, well, even including that, you're still talking about a foot of soil.
we're only that much in time. to do it.
Yeah, it's a small amount of area. So
Mhm.
our trams run our 220 30 amp feed to run the system. The controls up and down at each station are low voltage, 24 volt power to up down switches and no control exact kind of thing. Keep on off button at the top. It's the system itself.
So let's talk about the encroachment on the lake,
Sure.
which is two things.
Yeah.
It's also the front yard, what's it called, front line setback,
Yep, front yard setback.
front yard
Mhm.
setback.
Yeah.
And just because of the nature of things there and also the lake.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
So this property is, it's, if you look at their houses located down.
Can you,
basically like-
can you, by the way, come up and show, just for me, for our purposes, I made some overheads. While there's no leaves on the trees and stuff, so we just put that out. Made these guys. Yeah, so, and I'm just a little curious, these guys have one, you have one, this one on your table too. Sure. So there's the driveway, there's what, the house?
Yeah, no,
And you-
this is kind of, what's your mid building called? Your garage?
We call it a barn.
They call it the barn?
Okay, oh, so that's a barn, hard to tell from the top.
Yeah.
And so the house is right down by the lake?
Yeah, it's right
Okay,
here.
I thought that said boathouse and something somewhere.
Yeah, and this little red mark, which actually marks the address, is not too far from where the upper station will be. So
Okay.
this is driveway, all sloping down here, maybe 15 degrees or so, not too bad.
Mhm.
They have it such, it loops around so they can get groceries and access, pretty well, so it's pretty easy access from that standpoint. From here down is the cliff.
Oh, so it's all this right here.
Yeah,
You can kind of
so-
see that in the
Yeah,
in the
so the
aerial.
tram would be like right here. Right in that little section, so relatively speaking to the
So
property.
you
it's
still
kind of
drive
up
down,
there.
you drive to there and then you get on the train.
Correct.
And there's and then show me where the stair is on this.
Yeah,
portion.
it's just right behind, really right
Yeah,
behind
that's
the
what,
house.
yeah, that's what I
you know,
thought. Yeah,
Right
and I
there.
saw that in
Mhm.
one of my images.
Yeah, there's a pressure treated stair system.
Mhm. And how old is that stair system?
I remember when I was 7 years old, helping carry some tools up for a plumber.
That's a 20,
It was
25 years
that
old.
one?
So it's like,
And it was treated as lumber at the time?
It wasn't treated lumber at that time. It was painted lumber, and it became treated lumber as the untreated lumber.
Yeah.
Out of the way.
So you just keep adding new pieces to it or new lumber to it or something, is that what you did? I'm just trying to get the lay of the land. I really, I want to say, I didn't mind in a previous iteration of this, up the road a little bit. Saying, yeah, if we could replace the wooden stairs, which are more. As they degrade and break down, they're definitely more of an impact to the lake ecosystem than. This thing will ever be unless it's leaking oil all over the place, Sean, is it?
Right, no oil, no
Okay.
electric and. gear
Yeah,
motors, that kind of thing.
So I really like that we made a kind of a pact, an agreement and agreed that. No more stairs would be built or something like that, it's kind of like a nice. Environmental trade-off
Sure.
that took away the negative aspects of the.
We would vote for that, elimination of all stairs and just trams, that was the.
Yeah, you were, you were,
Oh, yeah.
are you representing your client here?
I'm a huge fan.
That's a no over there.
Yeah, I think in any case, having some form of stairs and
Agreed.
a tram, we're certainly.
Yeah, we talked about that in the past, and it's nice to add one, it's like
Yeah.
you're depending totally on their tram to be working.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
one thing that we don't overcome, if you will, is power. If you lose power, you have the tram. Now, the solution would be a home generator, that kind of thing, which a lot of our. But it's another option. You have a battery, there is no really 220 battery out backup system.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything mechanical, stairs are fairly reliable.
Yeah, I don't like to have a bank of batteries down there anyway.
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah.
best solution.
Exactly. But
I just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah.
Just in case you're.
Yeah, but the big question is this particular tram, as you get down, we try to hug and get as close as we can to the cliffside, so we're not above the land if we can avoid it. When the tram comes down, the last set of pipes are going to be approximately 30 feet back from there's a retaining wall. And then, you know, right now the lake is fairly low, like 6 feet lower than high water mark. So we have.
Where's the retaining wall relative to the water?
Well, right today, it's probably, I don't know, 12 feet, it's pretty far, but,
What about with the rain? Does it actually stop the lake in height?
the lake, I guess, what at high water, I was just talking to, another board member yesterday.
The, in 72 and in 93, it came over the railroad ties.
Oh,
That's the only time.
so that's a retaining wall, railroad ties.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to go down there, but,
Yeah. So kind of using that as a reference.
If you do, don't
Don't
drive.
drive down,
Yeah, it's.
you won't get up.
Yeah, you'll. And it might be a very quick drive
I
there.
have to call Andy. Andy, come and get me.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, so from that point back, the last set of pilings that would be about 30 feet back from that point right there.
Okay.
Going to have the, you know, obviously you want to try.
How much elevation change from the break wall or whatever we're calling it?
From the break wall to the water, from the break wall to where?
To the end of your,
It's pretty flat. I mean, it's
It may be a foot.
Yeah.
and a half.
slight
Okay.
slope. Not too bad.
Nice.
Oh.
Like a nice one there.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, like,
and it goes right to the lake.
Question.
Sure.
In this picture, is this what you're referring to as the railroad ties? Is part of that? I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. So I see like a stone wall. I just want to make sure, is this what we're?
No, so this is actually right where the tram would come down and connect.
Yeah.
So I'm almost.
There's another
standing
set of,
on- Yeah, I don't know if I took this picture or somebody.
I think it was the planning.
That actually is me.
Oh.
I'm
It was you standing there.
I needed credit for that.
Great.
Oh, are you Screen Actors Guild? or-
I think so.
So this is 30 foot away and the seawall is behind the
Yeah.
person was taking, thank you. That-
Yeah, so the retaining
Well,
wall.
who
and
took
then
it? Was it Carol was there with you?
He was there yesterday. I don't know if he took these pictures. Well, he might take these pictures yesterday.
So this is not what we're referring to.
That is correct.
That's what I was thinking, 'cause that
It's
seemed
not
too
taking
far
us
up to
to
the
that.
house,
Yeah.
so thank you.
That's the house, right?
Yeah. so-
Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
was confused.
So
Thank you.
the house itself is, in that 30-foot, you know, kind of foot zone.
Thank you.
So ideally in a tram, you want to try to eliminate steps as early as possible. And someone, wheelchair, give them access to all the levels. Right. Justify, you know, system.
So- Can you tell me why it's three? You having three stations along the way, you said?
Yeah, so the main use would be to go from the parking area, cars, groceries and things.
Yeah.
Down to the house.
Clearly.
And the house.
So that's two.
The main entrance to the house,
Mhm.
which is the, you know, the first story, or the story, you know, one story above the lawn.
Mhm.
But there's certainly a need to get down to the lawn to access the lower level of the house and also to access the water or enjoy the property safely. Could you just go to the house? Sure, but then now you've got stairs or you're limiting someone that, hey, you can visit, but you can't go down, you know, visit the rest of the property. Either case, you're in the setback. So because of just the nature of the lake, no matter any stairs you put on that cliff or anything you do on the cliff, tram stairs, like those, you're in the setback. So, either one of the setbacks. you're in.
Steve,
Mhm.
was there a third variance that was being discussed about an intermittent stream?
Yeah,
Was
but
that-
what
Did
was
that
the-
go away?
That disappeared in the record, so I don't think, what was the deal with that? Yes.
That came, I think, from your colleague Rob.
Yeah.
There isn't any mapped stream on that affects the property though.
I didn't see one. You didn't? Okay, so that was just, he was making a case for, just in case there was a.
Yeah, I think it was a statement of if there's an intermittent stream. Rob's fairly new, but you're using kind of an older model and making sure we covered all the elements. And so, you know, in case of intermittent streams, in this case, there wasn't.
Oh,
any.
model for the application. you mean?
Right, just to make sure we're covering all our, you know, if there was, then we'd have to identify that. and-
We've encountered that before.
Yeah, for sure.
What about the, Katie Borgella's statement about unique natural area and stuff?
Was there question.
Yeah, what's your take on that?
So they came back and said that there was, hold on, let me bring it up. So they found that there was no significant impact. And then they just made the comment that the applicant proposes minimizing impact to the project on steep slopes. We suggest the town emphasize the need to minimize disruption to this area with the applicant, since a portion of the parcel is within the unique natural area. So once we receive this, send it to you guys. We also send it to the applicant, so they have it on their record. One of the requests I have, so the planning board yesterday asked for a couple site plan amendments of the applicant. One of the ones I'm asking to is that you download or get the GIS shape file for that unique natural area, because it looks like part of the trend may be there, and just delineate on your site plan where that is. But I think through the
Can they avoid
discussion-
that? Can the tram avoid that, or we don't know because we don't have that? I don't have the shape files here, you know.
Yeah, my understanding of the shape files is they are not survey quality either.
Yep.
It's just a sort
For
of an
sure.
overlay.
For sure.
So, I mean, it's possible,
Mhm.
but I think the applicant, I mean, if you're asking my opinion, it looks like the applicant is doing as much as they can to minimize the soils in that area.
Mhm.
So,
It's a very favorable site for us, and really no hill shaping or excavating required.
Mhm.
It's,
Not a lot of trees.
no, no.
There's one tree I hear.
Yeah,
Yeah, is there a way that you could avoid removing that maple tree that was listed? It says a 6-inch maple tree. It's right on the edge of appears to be right on the slope.
Yep.
Steep part of the slope,
yeah.
and so, you know, like doing a mirror image or something, I don't know how you.
I mean, you can, and we often have, a little bit of, say our artistic license, exactly where the tram is on the site, kind of until we get there.
Mhm.
You know.
What's your
in
feeling for
case-
this? Could you avoid that tree, you think?
We could, and.
I'm mostly
um,
concerned about the below ground.
We could,
Yes,
it's a tree, we certainly have removed, many trees, and our goal, I'm a tree hugger type person, so I'm very anti-tree removal. But I'm also, want to balance with the site, and make sure it works for the homeowner in a sense, but also, for safety and for, these typically, going perpendicular to the slope is better. If we were to move the tram farther to the north and avoid the tree, we wouldn't have quite as sweet a spot. That might be a little more hill shaping, certainly within the realm, of it's not excavating the hill out, but you might have some rocks, some outcropping. If you move it to the south completely, you're a little closer to the house. Again, probably can fit it in there. If you put it,
I don't feel
Take your coat. Sorry.
it's okay.
Go
So,
through the house. You had me.
yeah, so, and then you can have it at a slight angle and stop. There's also a chance you can put it in front of the tree. And then have a little longer of an upper station, a little bit steeper of a tram. So, the answer is yes, you absolutely can. Is it the right decision though? Certainly, if you have a choice to keep a tree or not, yeah, I mean, in general, try to keep the tree. If it was, certainly a larger tree, 6 inches, you could argue decent sized tree, something that's worth it. So we hate to pigeonhole ourselves for that. If that was a requirement, certainly do it. You have a tram, maybe not an ideal. So, but I don't know that for sure until we kind of get there. So my personal thing would be to have the flexibility, but knowing our goal is to minimize disturbance. We get that, and we also want to continue to but it's gonna work in this town, so we want to make sure we do that. So if we feel that's warranted, we certainly will do that.
We think Andy. Well, I think that there's some conditions maybe that could mitigate the removal of the tree. Replanting or replacement.
I'm concerned about the below ground. What do you?
Yeah, so
Hold
that root
I mean,
system
you know,
is
we're
pretty
talking
important
about
right
Just
there.
putting this in, it's minimal, but once you take that below ground structure,
Sure,
which is substantial for that size tree.
Yeah,
yeah,
You're doing a lot more damage to that slope than we're worried about these little pipes going,
Yeah.
these tubes going.
sure.
So I like the replanting ideas, you know, but
but yeah, I don't like the idea of
how long would that last underground as a structural support?
the root system, you
Yeah.
mean? Sugar maple. The wood doesn't last long on the surface, you know, I don't know about the.
Contact with the ground underground.
I don't.
That's the concern. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be absolutely not an issue at all, not to leave the tree, you know, that would be.
Let me work that forward, that when you have roots, there are channels for water going through the trees, so water coming down that hill slope, and that's the problem there. I think they would accelerate erosion usually, and it'd be, I don't know, it'd be pretty substantial in a 6-inch tree, right?
Yeah,
Bigger than that.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, no
So you
doubt.
could be inviting problems in the future too.
Yeah, it's just, it's a, I think in a case where we can reposition it and make, they're just a little bit of trade-offs, but they're very minor, meaning that you put it in front, just extend their upper station out, and that would
Right.
be totally doable.
Can you show me where that is on here? You know, offhand or?
Very aware what?
Yeah, where you're talking about upper station and tree.
In these pictures.
You know, so relative to this, though. So you don't have a feel for whether you could do that right now easily.
To do what?
Move it or make the.
We 100% can move it. You know, there's absolutely no problem moving it. It's just, it might make, for instance, as you go down the hill, let's say move it 5 feet to the north.
Mhm.
Bring it down the hill, you might have a little more of hill shaping required, not major, but your station to walk over to the house will be 5 feet longer.
Mhm.
And then the lower station will be the same, so that's the trade-off. End of the road, that's not, no problem in our case, it's just 5 foot more protection.
Right.
Walking the house.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do.
So, I'm assuming this isn't your first rodeo. These
Sure.
trams are not uncommon over
Right.
in the lake.
Sure.
You've installed at least one other one of these, multiple?
Sure,
ones?
yeah, we've done about 180 trams.
Okay, so in your professional opinion,
Mhm.
obviously, I would sort of consider you the expert
Yes.
here in this.
Mhm.
If the tree had to go.
Right.
Is that gonna cause a problem in the future that they're concerned about with any of the, you know, structurally, have you seen in any of the other installations you've done where you've had to remove a tree,
Right.
that it causes a problem?
I would say in our installation, we haven't seen a problem. For sure, on cliff properties, you have erosion, you
Sure,
have,
of course.
you know, it's a whole different case up on Lake Ontario where it's sand and you've got incredible
Absolutely.
Yeah.
beauty
Right.
and road stuff.
Drainage.
So we're not that. When we look at a cliff, we look at the, you know, the angle of the cliff and also the maturity. Is it you can tell, a mature cliff with the amount of growth on it, a lot of trees or whatever, that tells you it's a very non-active cliff. You know, typically, if you've got some sections, and every Finger Lake has it, where you see very little vegetation and you see shale trickling down, so that's an active, you know, it's not, you know, a volcano or anything like that, but it's just that it's more active, and we put trams in those areas knowing that. And you know, there's some, you've seen them in Cuba Lake where it's, some of the areas down, but down at the where it's just like sheer cliff rock formations where, you would have a, you know, over time, you might have a rock fall type of thing. Our transitions don't help that, but they don't cause that. But getting to your question about tree removal, we've done many paths where we've removed a number of trees to get our spacing there. And we've never had a situation where, you know, the hill has failed or the hill has given way. Yeah, we're very, very careful, you know, in that light, but not that it's never gonna happen, but.
Obviously,
Yeah.
but that's very
Yeah.
helpful, thank you.
What's the current health of the tree? I mean, one thing I notice going up and down 89 is I think there's actually quite a few trees that, I mean, in part because of things like emerald ash borer
Yeah.
and other unexplained maybe diseases that, and I think the fires across the lake in Lansing last year heightened my concern even more, and this is maybe a little off topic, but I just want to balance the thought about trees is that I think town of Ulysses has been a little bit overzealous about ensuring trees are saved at all costs, when in reality, I'm afraid that might be increasing our wildfire risk. And that, you know, if trees are not looking healthy, or if they're close to a structure, I think we should reconsider, and I think this is a little bit off topic, but I'm hearing just a little bit what sounds like so much concern for one tree, when I think it's more important to look at the bigger picture of what is the overall scenario. That makes sense.
The tree is very healthy. I planted it 30 years ago.
We went in the woods and we found a little sapling
Yeah, found a little sapling.
and put it there.
Put it there.
I mean, I think that's important too. I mean, is it something you want to save, or?
Well, I prefer to have the tram. And one problem there's going to be if the tram is moved to the north. There's actually shale cliff that you can see to the north of where this tram is. And the reason that there isn't shale cliff where this tram is because in the 72 flood, the water came down the hill and wiped out about a 10-foot area of cliff. So this cliff goes, the cliff goes right down to the beach, whereas if you go a little north, you're up about 7 or 8 or 10 feet in cliff. And so the tram would actually cover that trip, that cliff, or alternatively, it might be necessary to remove some of that cliff, which I would prefer not to do.
It does
But
look like
this
there's,
is a nice area.
it does look like there, I mean, the planning board chairman sent this, it
Yeah,
looks like a
Carol, yeah,
room right
sure.
there. I mean, these are two pictures right next to each other, so that's a little confusing, but that looks like it's gonna be fine. I mean, you can see, there's no, like, it looks like there's room
Oh, for the,
for the thing without,
fine without the tree, no, avoiding the tree,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's gonna work.
there is a
And
very
they're-
good
they don't
chance we
want
can
it
do
to.
it, it's just, and I'm maybe making a bigger deal of it than it is, but, it was here, the tree absolutely has to stay, and we get there, and we can't do it, then we need to come back and rethink and redo it. I could do everything, but I am absolutely confident we can leave the tree, you know, and still meet all the requirements that we compliment it. You know, again, it's not a tree, I think it's healthy like that.
Yeah, it's right.
And one option, like you say, a little bit south, that you can have the tram kind of go down a little bit of an angle. You know, it's not ideal, not as ideal for us to go perpendicular. And when you do that, there's really no negative, except now when you're slightly perpendicular, your north track is going to be right on the ground. The south track is going to be a little bit elevated. Not the end of the world, doesn't look quite as great, but like, you know, my crew can deal with it. Again, they're very, you know, aesthetically minded, but that would work. That would avoid the tree. So it would still land in about the same spot. Be a little farther away from the house, but you wouldn't have shale it and run out. It's less ideal. There is also a very good chance the whole hoist motor system can be in front of the tree, between the tree and the water as well. So the tree coming behind you, like I said, that just kind of pushes everything out a little bit farther from the lawn looking up. The upper station will be kind of sticking out over the cliff a little bit more. The poles would be, the deck would be a little bit higher off of the hill. Nothing 100% the same strength and security, whatever, just wouldn't look quite as elegant. That's all. You know, and again, we want to balance the elements aesthetically. You know, we want it to look right, it's done right. but it is one tree and there aren't a lot of trees around it, so I'm,
That's right,
I'm a tree fan.
we need
you know.
to, well, aside from the spirituality of the tree and all that. We need to consider that there is one tree,
Yeah,
not a bunch of trees.
yeah,
So the root structure and all that holding the hill. And I'm concerned, and that makes me more concerned to know that 72, a big chunk of that hill came down. Which kind of is a little bit counter to, this is a very stable slope and everything.
Yeah.
And so I do like trees, but I don't think that's what's driving this here. I'm more concerned about the environmental quality of that and the structural quality of that cliff right there. Yeah. You have a steep slope, and the steep slope, we're all concerned about the steep slope in general. Unique natural area possibly encroaching on that. So I think that's where I'm coming down on this one. Environmentally, I would prefer not to remove that whole root structure. Sure. And I think that you might be asking for problems for you, but environmentally, I don't think it's a desirable.
yeah. Let's, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to put that in the requirement or constraint, but, you know, we'll.
If you think, that's why I was asking, do you think you could do it and is it?
I do.
I mean, consider.
Like I said, it's, you know, it's just,
Is it
I'm
feasible?
balancing, you know, more aesthetics than functionality. It's been perfectly fine.
And ultimately, it's up to you, not, I mean, I just wanted to get that expert opinion there.
And I'm not asking, we need to move that tree. I'm saying, it might be if we had that option, it might be a more aesthetically pleasing. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's-
sure.
I'm not. I hate making a mountain out of a molehill, but if we'll say, let's just leave the tree, then that just puts us down a path of, you know, I've got 3 or 4 options, all equally good. And we take the tree, and that's good. That makes maybe one less decision we have to make, and like that's why.
I would like to see the tree remain for not just the root system, but also when it's in leaf, the effect on rain, you know, slowing down,
Yeah.
taking the canopy. So unfortunately, every time I wanted to try to come down and do a site visit and contact you, the weather
Yeah,
made it, so I couldn't. Can I ask you a question or two about the sugar maple? How's the canopy? You said it's a healthy looking
It's a
tree.
healthy tree, you know, we've trimmed the lower branches. It's probably 30 to 40 feet tall now. I'd say the canopy has a diameter maybe 15, 20 feet.
Mhm. That's what I figured. So that's doing a lot of work when leaves are out, you know, mitigating the rain that's coming down that particular part of the slope of the root system is also holding in that particular part of the slope. In fact, there's only one tree
And
in the area.
and there's not a lot of roots competing with it either, so that's probably a 30-foot root zone too?
Yeah,
That's a 30
yeah, its roots are spread out pretty wide, way beyond the canopy,
Yeah.
most likely. You know, we see cliffs, we always see root systems that are asymmetrical,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But and the roots that go up the hill, you know, root systems tend to hold more in tension than in compression, so. The roots that are on the uphill side are holding that tree up. The roots on the downhill side are getting, you know, holding. The cliff.
Hold the cliff together, right.
Less than the tree.
So sorry, we're a little more technical than maybe you want to get about trees and all that stuff, but yeah, they are holding the structure that clip together.
Yeah,
And this one may well be.
I don't think there's anything about wildfire regarding a sugar maple that in a unique natural area and through the lake that's.
No, I just meant more generally that, like, I know our zoning discourages even dead trees from being removed, and
Really?
again, that's a little bit off topic, but I think in fact we should be encouraging the removal of dead and diseased trees. And in fact, our zoning explicitly says because dead trees are habitat for animals or something, we should not remove them. It's not prohibited, but it's discouraged or something like that. And I think particularly because of what we saw across the lake in Lansing, I think that should be reevaluated, but that's off topic really from this specific.
Longer discussion. I have a lot
issue.
to add to that discussion
Okay.
too, by the way.
Yeah,
In different parts of the country, it's very different. I think, if we look at all of our models, it's raining like crazy here.
Oh, now it
Lots of
is,
rain.
but last year it seemed,
Yeah, yeah, I
kind
know,
of
I
scary.
get you, but, okay. Off topic.
yes, I admit that.
Topic I like, but.
Yeah, we can talk about it another day.
So we're keeping the tree.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's,
Let's, if we can put in a tram safely. I
mhm.
mean, I'd rather lose the tree than my wife.
You've been elevated.
That's
I mean,
great.
you see it in and out of our house every day.
Yeah.
Right, I just wanted to clarify that, because that's what I was seeing here. That's an
Yeah,
awful lot of
that's just to
stairs
the
to
house.
the, that's just
not to
there.
The lower level,
And then there's 2 levels, so each day to come and go in this weather and the ice,
32 stairs.
right?
I already fell once this year, so I would like it closer. Yeah. Rather than further
Yep.
from the house, so we can put more saplings in if we do. We do it all the time, we're planting all around.
Yeah.
But,
If,
yeah, yes.
if you go out and find that the tram can't be located without removing the tree, is it possible to leave a stump or snag? Or will that interfere with the mechanism?
Yeah, typically we would leave the stump in the root system, like,
Mhm. Yeah, you're not excavating and
No.
ripping it up.
well, understanding over the course of 7, 10, 12, that those roots will deteriorate, they'll do a great job for many years, but. It wouldn't be as much, as good a job as a tree live.
Mhm.
But yeah, we would leave, it's not like we would. Have to actually stump it, and we would.
Good question. What do you think?
Well, tree roots, I don't know, we're talking about tree roots, they're being constantly replaced, so, by the tree as it grows and
Yeah, sure.
lives and. They die and they get replaced and again, I don't know how long, you mentioned the time frame. I don't know how long it's sugar maple roots last actually, but I know for a fact that. Sugar maple if it's just laying there on the ground, it's not gonna, a 6-inch tree's not gonna be around long.
Right.
But yeah, if we could keep that tree and somehow make it work, then yeah, I think that would.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't get to the gist of it. I wasn't sure the direction you ended up in when with your statement.
Well, my statement is I don't think that the tram should go too far north because of the shale like Ed was talking about.
Uh-huh.
But also it's a longer than walk to get into the house as well.
Right, I
Um,
guess, right?
So if we have to lose the tree, I would say we would lose the tree and replant other trees if need be. Like I said, we just picked the sapling from the woods and brought it down there and put it in. We've done several of those.
Mhm.
So we're never against doing in other ones, if we have to take it, but I would try not to.
And I mean, in the 72 flood.
Yeah, that was remarkable, right?
Unprecedented.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
A
hope,
lot of,
we
a
hope.
lot of cliffs.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
Yep, we know. I'm aware of all that stuff and we hope it's unprecedented. And I'm a little skeptical that it's gonna be unprecedented in the next few years. Except we do control the lake level a little bit more, but we don't control the rainfall coming down that hill. And we had a 5-inch rainfall right by you, just, it was 2 years ago, that was crazy, right? And we've had a couple of those recently, so.
But
No,
it
I'm
needs
concerned
to
about that.
improve too, for that, like all the culvert work and all the drainage and all of the, number of projects that are involved with the project. And hopefully that pays off over time than it would 50 years ago.
Yeah,
Who
things
knows
have
what
changed a
the-
lot, except that it's also raining like crazy too, often. Where do we want to go? Where do you want to go here? See, we have to vote on it, so I don't know what people are gonna vote, I'm not sure, we can make a condition. And that'll probably change, some viewpoints on some of this stuff.
Okay.
I'm not sure that you're, amenable to it, though, seems like the owner. That's why I was asking you, like, do you think, is there any, considerable change if we avoid the tree and?
I don't think so. I think we'd be able to find I'll say in the compromise, not the wrong word, but I think
Yeah, yeah.
find a solution
A
that
solution.
works for everybody.
Right.
It's just, I'm always at the point of trying to get it, you know, as least restrictions as possible, just so we.
Of course.
We can kind of balance all those,
Right.
but knowing the concern and. I think everyone would vote they, good, let's leave the tree, it just. Right, if we want to be kind of constrained in that area a little bit, I believe we'll find. I'm very confident we'll find a solution that will work. I'll just step on a limb, really, and if it's the one thing where. It's exactly the path we want, it's just extended out the cliff just a little bit, and a little bit might be 4 feet.
Mhm.
That will be, it just maybe a teeny bit less aesthetically pleasing when you're standing down the back lawn, you know what I mean? But for anyone else, unless you pointed that out, no one would. Say
Well, no, I'm gonna
about it,
look and.
You know,
as you
but that's
pointed
what I
out,
do,
right?
you know, I look at
Of
it, you
course,
know,
it's your business, right?
why is that pole 2 colors? It's just,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, why?
I don't know.
Why
I'd rather
be-
have it one, but I don't know, you know, so it's just that.
Artistic, it's artistic.
Artistic license, so that solution right there would save the tree, it wouldn't create more walking, wouldn't touch the shell, you know, so that's king of the hill. If I can get a better solution, it's possible, it's, the whole thing is in part of the tree anyway, so.
All right, so I'm gonna say there's a couple of things that I really take to heart. We have 5 statutory requirements. What's the best word for that? 5 things we need to consider, and 2 of them for sure have to do with that tree.
Yeah.
Environmental, because I think it will be environmental, and Andy had a great point of the canopy is gonna make a difference too. And
Here's one possibility.
Mhm.
Rather than have the tram go all the way to the lawn,
Mhm.
is to have it stop at the cottage
Mhm.
and have it all be behind the cottage.
To avoid the tree?
To avoid the tree.
Then would you be able to safely access it from your parking area
Yes.
without steps?
Yeah, I mean, in all due respect. That's an option, but I'm sure we'll be able to find. A solution, we wouldn't have to do that, that would certainly be on the table, you know, if for some reason I move it so far
Yeah.
south that we avoid the tree. And give up the access to the back lawn,
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
So because of one tree, Mr. Crossmore, you're offering to give up the whole second level down to the seawall because of this one tree.
If.
It's very generous of
It
you
was
is where I'm
necessary.
going with that.
I'm to save the project.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
I hear you.
95% of the use of this tram is going to be from the house, the cottage,
Mhm.
to the driveway.
Right.
It's gonna be very, you know, I go outside the house. I'm probably not gonna wanna go through the trouble of getting into the tram, going down 12 steps.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna take what I always do. I'm gonna go out the house, turn left, go down the steps.
Right, right.
Unless we have soil
Let's-
or
let's-
concrete
let's-
bags,
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
theory.
Sure,
I
yeah,
agree
it'd be
with
nice to have that, but I'm listening to the person who's got a good view of the whole thing.
Okay.
And I'm feeling better about this. The other consideration is whether you considered alternatives, and I take that one pretty seriously too. And everyone has their own, but we have to consider all 5 of them, but did you consider all the alternatives? I love this here. I love that there are other alternatives being considered and one that's more desirable. It sounds like we have one that's pretty desirable and not as extreme as the other one you're suggesting, but
Yeah.
I like these alternatives.
Table on.
Mr. Ritchie, could you show me on here which tree it is from this point of view? Out of curiosity,
Yeah,
if you're looking, you're standing down.
the challenge, I think, with Carl's. Carl? Oh,
Right.
no, this way. That's good. Sorry, it's that tree right there. It's kind of that one there.
Mhm.
Wow, that seems like there's a lot of room, like for them to go like
It
that.
Yeah,
does.
that's what,
It's
that's what
close.
you said. That's what Mr. Ritchie said before.
Yeah.
It seems like you can just,
I think it's wow,
Yeah.
so
seems like there's a lot of room.
I mean, the learning for me. would
it's up
be
to you, but if you're
yeah.
okay with the stipulation that we don't do the tree, that might be a good time to put that in your request. Okay. Up to you.
Save the tree.
Save the tree.
And then I can't guarantee how everybody will vote. They might just say, no, forget it. Or anyway, but
Yeah.
you get the gist of how we feel around it, right?
Yeah.
Where we're going. Any more conversation? Any more? Okay.
No, I just want to say thank you. Obviously, you guys have taken a lot of consideration here and you're the professional, so I feel like our citizen job here is to trust the professionals,
Sure,
and I feel that
appreciate
you're clearly saying that this is a safe one. You've done over 180 of
Yeah.
these in the area. I feel like you're very well versed, so I'm trusting your opinion, and I can feel for you. I'd be the same way. If we can save the tree, great, but if you can't, I'm advocating for your safety and for what's best for the system. I mean, love the tree, want to save the tree, but at the end of the day, I think we have to think about what's best for you guys too.
Here,
Oh.
any more? Any
I-
thoughts before we put a vote?
Well, I think the only additional thing I would say is, I am concerned about safety and access for people who are less able-bodied, and so I would hate for them to have to give up access to the lake, because
Yeah,
I
that
think
other
that-
alternative, the extreme one, that seemed a bit much, but I'm
Yeah.
heartened by you saying they're probably don't have to do that
Yeah.
either. Thank you for offering that. That was another consideration. Good. Okay, who wants to take this on? Motion? Anybody want to go to a motion? Andy, it's your turn, isn't it?
I did it last
She
time.
did
Yeah,
it,
you
she
did.
did do it last
Oh,
time.
Karen, man, I'm looking at you.
I mean, I would offer a motion, but I'm not sure exactly how we want to word it, but I'm supportive of the project with the stipulation of
Oh,
making every effort to.
so you're worried about the
save tree.
stipulation wording, wording of that?
I'm not worried about it. I'm
No, I
just
mean,
not
that's
exactly
what you-
sure how to do it.
That's what you just said. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can all help with that too. I
Yeah.
don't mind. I like the way we do with the discussions throughout all that. We have a bunch of the wording. Was the wording okay with you, the other stuff?
Yes, so I guess,
Starting with, page 2.
Two, now therefore.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
And then we can work the words on what we consider is good for the,
Did you want me to read through it and
yeah,
And you
starting
can
with
help.
number 1, or considering all that one.
considering all the statutory factors set forth above, the Board of Zoning Appeals finds the following. 1, a benefit to the applicant in the granting of the area variance to decrease the front yard setback will not outweigh the detriment to the, will outweigh, yeah,
Detriment.
yeah, will
Well,
outweigh
the
the
detriment. Yeah, I know,
detriment
it's
to the
tough, one,
health,
isn't it? Okay.
safety and welfare of the
Agreed.
neighborhood. Yeah, so basically, we're saying when you weigh the pros and cons, that the benefit to the applicant exceeds any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood.
Then do we want to add something here, kind of like pointing to the,
I don't think the tree has anything to do with this one.
The front
Okay.
yard setback, and we just,
it is a
we
front yard
discussed
setback.
it a little bit, but I don't know that we've got any language to put in there, right?
I was thinking of this and I actually wanted to bring it up. Since we've done this a bunch of times and have and studied your technique and all that, I never liked the idea of driving a vehicle down. I do like your backpack or whatever, the thing you carry on. I like that. I like that it's only pipes like that and they're hollow, which is great.
Right.
I think the disruption to the slope is minimal. And I'm not sure what encroachment on the front yard setback or the lake setback. I just don't see it as,
It's not pertinent, right? It's as pertinent anyway.
it's the landing pad, so you're putting a structure down at the bottom, right? Inside the setback zone, it's concrete, what is that?
No, well, it's, we use the same pilings
Yeah.
and it's, it can be, it could be as small as a 4 foot by 4 foot deck, or it could
Oh,
be
it's a deck
such
on
that it's
those
just, you
islands.
just, or some kind of just step off onto the grass.
Yeah, right.
You know, the cabin is cantilevered, so, so you have your track and the cabin comes down and the cabin comes down within like 8 inches of the ground, so
Uh-huh.
depend, again, some customers will just have a paver walkway, just, you know, so
Yeah, right
stepping
to it,
on
right.
grass,
Uh-huh.
so. So that's kind of to be determined.
But the
And then-
structure that's actually touching the ground is only the pipes.
Right.
Yes, okay. I considered this a bunch of times in all the previous iterations of this and. I don't know, I mean, anybody see a big disruption to the encroaching on the. Within how many feet of the lake?
30 feet then.
Mhm.
But that's different from the front yard setback.
They're both, we have to consider them both because they happen to be the same direction.
Oh, okay,
The
got it.
front yard is the lake in
Got
this case, and then we have a lake stipulation, that's what we do both. So I think, yeah,
But to Karen's point, the first criteria here is just on the front yard.
and
The
then we're gonna do it
lake,
again for the lake.
yeah, the lake is
Right.
back to number 7,
Yeah, good one.
so. This really should just be about
This is about the
encroaching
front yard.
into the front
Right.
yard.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Are we ready to move on to 2?
Yeah, unless you want to add some words, the minimal structure. Okay, Two.
The granting of the area variance to decrease the front yard setback will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not be a detriment to nearby properties. And I guess I'm saying that because we haven't heard any opposition from neighbors, and looking at the maps, it looks like, you know, this isn't encroaching on their views or anything like that. But is there any other concerns, I guess?
yeah, I think the character of the neighborhood, if you zoom out, in Google Earth or any of these
Right.
remote. This isn't changing the character of the
Exactly.
neighborhood, there's a lot of structures down by the water and there's a lot of stairs and all that stuff, so,
And it's a very lightweight structure.
Right,
so I agree.
okay. And then 3, the benefit sought by the applicant to decrease the front yard setback cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I think that's concluded based on the discussion tonight.
If we could backtrack to 2, are we adding language at the end or just leaving it to saying that it will not be a detriment to nearby properties and period?
I'm fine with that, but I guess based on what they just said, we could add something like elaborate that the structure is consistent with other structures along the
Is that
lake.
what you mean, or you think, contingent on this,
Well, that's what I'd like, some clarity, like if, because I heard some discussion of, you know, I thought it was a good discussion, but I didn't hear any firm language to be added or not to be added to the resolution.
Based on what people have said, I think the language to be added would be that this is a overall lightweight structure consistent with
minimal.
similar structures characteristic to the neighborhood.
I think that's fair and that makes sense because that's a fact. It's not an uncommon structure and it's very normal.
Very minimal. So it, maybe instead of lightweight, you could say minimal.
It's a minimal disruption to
Yeah.
the,
Yeah,
I mean, it
Light-
depends which one.
lightweight is all relative, so that's probably not, I used that term because you used
I
it
did too, yes,
originally,
yeah.
but. Okay,
Okay, so which one are you on? Because
That was number 2. I
we went back to 2, but then
Okay.
we'd already also done 3.
will not create an undesirable change in the character. I'd say it's minimal, the whole structure is minimal disruption. to
Right,
Environment, and so that goes for environment and.
and then I don't think there's really anything to add to 3. Other than, if you wanted to, you could say the applicant has clearly considered alternatives that are not as feasible.
That's sound language that works.
So then we're,
I'm okay with that.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, we're saying feasible, so.
so then we're on 4.
Mhm.
And of course, this is all somewhat relative as to what is substantial, but it seems
It's
like,
always relative.
right,
So how many feet out of 75?
well,
Or no, this is
this
how
is
many
the
feet?
front.
50?
It's 50, there's a reduction of 20, so it's really 40, and they're requesting 30, so down to 10. It's a reduction of 10 feet.
25%.
20%?
So
That goes over my limit.
it's
That goes over-
moderately substantial, not a.
I'm just being consistent.
Somewhat substantial,
Yeah, no, we don't see it.
no, okay,
I'm
all right, so.
consistent with what I always am, which is I go, yeah, that's substantial.
Okay, so the requested area variance to decrease the front yard setback is substantial. Based on,
That could be period. I think.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I
Then-
can leave that one, if you're okay with those words,
yes.
I am.
And then 5, the proposed area variance to decrease the front yard setback. Will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, and this would probably be the place if you wanted
That's
to
the
add the
place.
tree issue. Because as discussed, the sole maple tree in proximity will be saved.
Niels, can I ask a question for actual like point of order?
Hmm.
Can we really do that? I mean, what happens if lightning hits that tree? And it dies tomorrow, right?
So we're not gonna say saved, we're gonna say
Preserved in the process, it's preserved during the construction, or something like that, right? Not for, preserved for perpetuity.
We're not holding them to keeping that trail like for
Well-
100 or 200 years, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's part of the resolution though, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. I mean, it's a tree. We can't really control.
Well, we can control if they take it away.
We can, and there's language a little further back that talks about minimal disturbance of the land, so it looks like they've already thought about that in the resolution as part of the UNA process, but I don't know if we're gonna have to change all that language now.
So to your question, the board can apply conditions, just like the planning board can apply conditions to their resolutions, but this is just for the proposed project. It's not necessarily, like Steve said, in perpetuity, so if there was a landslide, if there was a fire, whatever, obviously the tree, or if it, I mean, maple trees have a tendency of being called widow makers.
Yep.
So if it gets to the point of being unsafe, there is a provision that they can remove that tree, so
Right, so this is just for the project,
for the project.
that's it. no
This is
more
just for
from
the
there.
project, period.
Thank you.
We could say something like, or, I mean, more, but there's a point where we start reaching beyond our purview and what's reasonable, what's not reasonable.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I think it's entirely reasonable to ask the person who's constructing it not the tree down. If there's an alternative, and there seems to be one.
yeah, and I feel
So I
like you
think
guys are doing a great job of offering and saying you'll
Yeah.
give us an alternative.
Oh, I think we're good. I think we're good in terms of staying within our responsibilities and our purview. But we're not going to say in perpetuity. We're not. And if there's lightning, then you're in trouble. Got it. Can I? The minutes, I like the wording that we used in the previous time. I can find the minutes. Like referring to the stipulations, or we didn't call them stipulations, we said conditions set forth or something.
Mhm. I don't have it printed, and if I try
I
to
did.
scroll, I'll lose
I
it.
lost it in this.
Experience.
Anybody have the minutes from last time? Thank you. Close it out. I think we thought that one out pretty carefully, and we liked it. David took off his glasses.
All right, I can look that up if you want.
Yeah, okay, just the words, just the word to put on there. Okay, go ahead, you can go ahead, Kurt.
Okay, before I read number 6, I think it's helpful to have a little bit more discussion about what exactly it means to be self-created, because obviously
Yes,
the project is being done by choice, but the overall, limitations are, I don't know, I find that one's always a little bit tricky to
I
understand.
know, we always, right? I mean,
Yes.
always traditionally. So my answer is yes. They didn't have to propose it. They don't have to do it. Yes, it's self-created. They all are.
Right, yeah,
There's very few times, that's my answer. I'm not being glib. I'm
Right.
just saying, well,
I mean, that's
yes.
kind of what I thought, but then it's like, why are we even asking it? Because
I know.
the fact that it's,
Oh, well, there are occasions though, when we thought, oh, yeah, well, I see, well, you didn't know, and not even. Other things happen. It's a non-conforming lot and the rules change from under, there's sometimes where that's,
okay, all right, so anyway, in this case, the alleged difficulty to decrease the front yard setback is self-created.
clearly,
Number 7, the benefit to the applicant in granting of the area variance to decrease the setback from the lake will outweigh the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. And 8, the granting of the area variance to decrease the setback from the lake will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not be a detriment to nearby properties, similarly to what we described for the front yard setback. And then 9, the benefit sought by the applicant to decrease the setback from the lake cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. And 10, the requested area variance to decrease the setback from the lake is substantial. And 11, the proposed area variance to decrease the setback from the lake will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
And then,
How is,
can I pause for you for
Yeah.
a second without destroying your train of thought, but what we said in this, our last one was with the deed restriction in place.
Yeah,
That's all we said for
Mhm.
that number 11, but
and then we said
Where
it a
did
few
we just
times,
run
we
it?
said like 3 or 4 times throughout, and I just found it.
right, and so, in this case, if we wanted to add something, it might be with the condition instead of the deed restriction, the condition.
Condition place to be in, right? Mhm.
and then we don't describe the condition until the end.
Right. Well, what were the words that you found acceptable on that? Niels? Referring to the condition at the end, at the. You remember?
You could say something
So the-
for the conditions of approval. Something simple like that.
Subject to or something, or,
Yeah, subject to the conditions of approval.
okay,
Or in that case that she described, especially given compliance with the condition of approval. Something like that.
Mhm.
Because
yes,
it doesn't, I mean, just having setback does not ruin the environment, but
Right.
especially since we had this condition of
Yeah.
approval.
is that okay?
yes,
Oh,
yes. And then.
Did you get that, Molly?
And then finally, number 12, the alleged difficulty to decrease the setback from the lake is self-created.
Mhm.
And then moving on to, for the reasons set forth above, and upon the evidence, law, and facts, the BZA hereby does grant the area variance to decrease the front yard setback from the east lot line from 40 feet to, what's the number of feet? You confirm?
30?
To 30, and does not. See, and does grant the area variance to decrease the setback from the lake from 75 feet to, I think I heard 30.
Mhm.
For the proposed new tram located at 1125 Taconic Boulevard, subject to the following
Yep.
conditions.
Oh,
And then the conditions of approval. A revised site plan or survey shall be submitted to the planning board for their final site plan review that delineates the proposed tram in relation to the UNA 91 boundaries, the Glenwood Ravine and Lake Slopes unique natural area, along with existing mature vegetation, trees and shrubs within the proposed location of the tram. And 2, there shall be minimal disturbance of the land during construction to the maximum extent feasible. any removal of, I don't know if you want to leave this in following the
I'm
discussion.
not
then.
sure.
Any removal of mature trees or shrubs shall be replaced at a 1-to-1 ratio. Tree, I mean, because if we're not talking about removing a tree, I don't know that you need to include that.
That would be the one to edit. Right?
Mhm.
Maybe it should just stop at there shall be minimal disturbance of the land during construction to the maximum extent feasible. And maybe add,
And then we're gonna add the tree thing.
and the tree should be preserved or not cut down, or however you word that.
Unless anybody's fixed on, or fixated on, or fixed on replacement and all that kind of stuff, or addition of shrubs or.
No, was there other significant
No.
vegetation in the way? It didn't look like it. It was
Good
just
patch,
one
poison
tree that you planted.
Where did I?
You
You
should
could say
have moved it
no.
over a little.
No trees will be cut down, including the 6-inch maple that has been of,
Sugar maple,
Concern.
it's a sugar maple.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Did you look, Andy? No, you
I
see
didn't
it.
look, but the bark, is really high.
I know,
It
hard.
looked oaky to me, but I'd like to go down there, but I wasn't able to, but if you say it's a sugar maple, I went up and tried to see if they were opposite. If it was opposite buds, and I couldn't really from zooming in on the photo, so.
oh,
Hoped.
Yeah, so
It
we
was,
better not.
you believe it's a sugar maple.
I don't know.
It's a maple.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't really
Does it?
matter.
Don't say it,
The
don't
6-inch,
say the sugar maple.
okay. the
Existing 6-inch.
6-inch tree at the top of the slope.
It's a maple.
Okay,
Is it?
6-inch maple.
Well,
tree
yeah,
at the
we
top
know
of
it's
the
a
slope.
maple, we just don't know what
Okay,
species
it's a maple.
for sure, like your red maple.
Right. So what are the words, Cheryl, what'd you say? You had one,
What?
words for that maple tree?
6-inch maple at the top of the slope. Oh, no trees will be removed,
Mhm.
including the 6-inch maple at the top of the slope that has been of concern or something like that. That is in the vicinity of the top station. Is that what we call it?
Upper station.
Upper station.
Okay, so. I find that hard to believe that there are no trees there. Those trees are
Yes.
seedlings and saplings and all that.
There's
Zero.
growth, I mean, there's just.
I just don't want to put an undue constraint on this, you know. You
Weeds,
can't.
poison ivy.
Okay.
Okay. That's
All right.
not enough constraint. No trees would be removed.
Right.
None?
You need any.
Good to,
Okay, I don't wanna,
we get it read back to us?
yes. You good?
Yes.
Okay, great, and then. Okay. Molly. Well, we're gonna have to, are we gonna sprinkle that in a couple places, referring to the condition? Subject to the condition,
I mean, I think the last part, conditions of approval, that I don't think it needs to be repeated.
okay, all right,
Throughout.
so let's go ahead and read it, and I wanna see, because there's sometimes, I think you may want to just say, subject to condition.
I'll also kind of put this in your thoughts too. The concern Cheryl had, I think, maybe I might get board members mixed up. I think Cheryl had a concern over the previous resolution about the language of the alleged difficulty to decrease,
Alleged.
yada, yada, yada. That same verbiage is essentially in here
Yeah.
as well. So if there's a concern there.
Did
you
you,
might-
do you not like the alleged, or
Well, alleged difficulty,
it's alleged by the, appellant?
I know, it just needed an extra phrase. It was just shortcut
I
language.
see.
It was like
Right.
the alleged difficulty to reduce the thing instead of the
Okay, well,
alleged
so what-
difficulty.
We have the same thing here, do you want to do the same?
Let me hear, because I can't, I lost my,
Yeah. That's the old one.
So we're looking at numbers 6 and
yeah,
12.
number 6, the alleged difficulty. Causing the need to reduce the minimum. Required wire. How's that? Does that help anyone besides me?
You're looking at the old one.
Yeah, no, that's what he's talking about. I got cut. and
Number 6,
pasted.
yeah. To increase the front yard setback
The alleged difficulty
to what?
which is causing.
I
the
think it's
need to-
associated with decreasing, don't you think? Or not?
The alleged difficulty, which is. That they can't. Have a whole lot in one village, I think.
To
this
the
is
front yard setback, to decrease the front yard setback, the alleged difficulty. Associated
Causing
with,
the need to reduce the minimum required. You see what I'm saying?
whoa, no, I thought it was the difficulty. Reported to them, this is. What does this mean?
The alleged difficulty to
It's-
reduce the minimum required, the alleged difficulty is self-created. What is the alleged difficulty?
So stepping back a bit, that language is right from state law. So, and that's one of the criteria that the board has to look at. It's,
Right.
it's like the
So I
last
get the
one.
alleged,
Yeah.
but it's the stuff after.
Oh, yeah, usually we just say the alleged difficulty is self-created and we assume we know what it means, but when we have these multiple part. Thingies, you have to put in the extra phrase and then it messes it up, right? When you have the multiple part,
Several
variances.
variances, yeah.
Mhm. The alleged difficulty causing the need to reduce the minimum required lot area. That's all I got. If you don't
I like
want. Okay,
No, I like that, causing the need, so it's difficulty on their part. Reported by them.
I
And
think
that's what
that,
the
I
alleged.
think that does it, but it's just, I think it's
I
just
like it,
because we have.
causing the
multiple
need
parts.
to. So we can have that everywhere, I'm fine with that.
Mhm. So it's not, I'm not changing the verbiage about.
No, you're making the
the,
meaning more clear, actually, because.
The alleged difficulty is self-created. That's really the core of it.
Right.
So, sure, can we
Number 12.
6 and 12?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the alleged difficulty causing the.
I'm gonna
Thank
mold
you,
it.
Niels.
I'm gonna mold it with my friend.
That's touching, I can't remember.
Who's
You're
the
gonna-
town attorney, Guy Crow?
It's
Mhm.
Nathan Benoit,
Was it?
Nathan Benoit,
He's a new player, relatively new.
Coughlin and
Mhm.
Gerhardt
Diagram the
is
second,
the.
Right?
Oh, that's-
Maybe, should we think of like maybe necessitating instead of causing a need or something?
Yes,
Causing a
I
need is
love
like
that.
stressing me out. Like, I just can't, I keep hearing it and I'm like, that just
No, I think
isn't
that's
working
nice.
for
Wait,
me.
the alleged difficulty necessitating the reduction,
Encroachment.
necessitating the reduction of the minimum.
No, it's really a request to decrease, it's a request, they're requesting. Right? This is the alleged difficulty. I'm creating buzzing, what would you say?
The alleged difficulty necessitating,
Necessitating the request to decrease. This is a request by them.
I like the request too, that makes sense. But I think we're getting out
The
of control
alleged
here.
difficulty necessitating the request to decrease the front yard setback is self-created. Was that-
That's the
that's
intent,
what you said.
that's good,
It just
is
sounds,
that okay with you?
yeah, I mean, I'm
It's a
not voting,
request.
it was just
No,
causing the
that's-
need, it was just
Thank
like,
You're discussing.
I like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think
That's
both
good,
of those things are good.
I
And
just kept tripping over it, it just
No
didn't
request.
flow, but.
because I want to put it back on, it's a alleged difficulty by them. That it's
Causing the
Their
request.
requesting it, that works.
But Niels, if it's state language, can, oh wait. maybe
No,
we
the
can-
alleged part is state.
It's just the criteria,
The
the
alleged.
alleged,
Okay,
yeah,
so all right, good, so we can switch to the other.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's not a statement of fact, it's really just that, it's reported to us that, okay. Just give me 1 second, because I want to look at one thing. We actually said it a bunch of times to make me feel better. Condition of approval,
Mhm.
need restriction in place, I mean, we just said it a bunch of times and I like
Okay.
that.
Let's try to. put
Where
that
there's a
in.
condition of approval. That will. We're talking about detriment and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Abstention. Okay, so are we reading? Where are we reading?
Could you bring it back to
Or did
us
we
so we
get-
can stick this phrase in there a little bit more?
Where are
If,
you at?
of course, if the person who made the motion is okay with it.
Yes.
The last thing I edited was. Causing the need, number 6 and 12. I haven't made any changes, so I'm not sure where you're.
Okay,
at
so that
right
one
now,
got changed to necessitating the request.
Instead of causing the need.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Could you read that to us?
So maybe just
So that
read
takes-
back number 6 and number 12.
The alleged difficulty necessitating the request to decrease the front yard setback is self-created.
Yes,
Okay, that's good.
good job, team. And that would happen in
Yeah.
12 too.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little different, but.
Okay. But really, we want to.
All right, what's the next one?
Thing, don't we?
No, I think we want to read back the whole, all of them. If you don't mind. Can we just jump to 6 or do we do all of them? Like, no, we haven't gone so well. All right, let's go with number 1.
Let me read it.
Yeah, we have.
Next time, get that. The benefit to the applicant in the granting of the area variance to decrease the front yard setback will outweigh
Mhm.
the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. The granting of the area variance to decrease the front yard setback will not create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not be a detriment to nearby properties. The structure.
Should we add anything to that one?
Based on the
Well-
conditions, does that number 2 get based on the conditions, so
Oh, you were
Well,
about to
I'm
read.
not finished reading
Oh,
it.
sorry. Okay.
The structure is minimally disruptive and inconsistent with others in the neighborhood. Number
I
3,
think that belongs there.
number 3, the benefit sought by the applicant to decrease the front yard setback cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The applicant has considered alternatives that are not feasible.
No, that's good.
Number 4.
I think, but deemed they're not feasible, is that wrong?
That are deemed not.
But they're
feasible,
less feasible, I think is what you said.
that are less
Did you
feasible.
say less feasible? You said are not as. I like less.
Less.
Is that
No,
okay?
that's fine.
is it, the other things that were considered would still require a variance, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
I'll pursue other than area variance.
Number
No.
4. You ready?
Like something, maybe other conditions were, I mean, other,
Would require a variance anyway, so.
yeah.
I'm not sure we need anything here, actually. Do we
I don't
even
think
need
so.
anything at the end of that sentence?
There were no alternatives that did not require an area variance.
Okay.
I
That's
mean,
good.
you know, it's,
It's got-
they've explored other options that, but they would all require variance anyway.
So I like, say that again. They considered other,
There were no other options that did, there were no options that did not require an area variance.
Okay, so you're going to get rid of.
Yeah.
What was there
yes,
and just put the applicant. Has considered other options that. Would not require an area variance.
There were no options that did not require an area variance.
I see what you're saying, I mean, he's saying they have a little discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not
That's fine.
useful.
I'm fine. with
Done,
that. Are
okay, done, yep. Or you, it's important that you're okay with it.
So that's carrying.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, number 4.
Yep.
The requested area variance to decrease the front yard setback is substantial.
Mhm.
Number 5, the proposed area variance to decrease the front yard setback will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Because as discussed, the sole maple tree in proximity will be preserved. Number 6.
No, I think that's, we gotta refer to the conditions.
Especially. Given the conditions of approval. Is that what you wanna say?
Subject to the conditions of approval.
Yes,
Okay.
Oh, just add subject.
as subject to the conditions of the.
Just add that to the end.
Mhm. Okay, number 6. Or do you want me to reread it?
I think we got this one nailed.
Okay. Number six,
Substantially.
the alleged difficulty necessitating the request to decrease the front yard setback is self-created.
Yep.
Number seven, the benefit to the applicant in the granting of the area variance to decrease the setback from the lake will outweigh the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Number eight,
Is that where you want to add your thing? That one she just said, 7, or what was it, 7?
Neighborhood?
Did you want to add a little, do we have a phrase there for that one?
No,
No.
because it's the neighborhood, it's not the
On the past.
environment.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, you mean the previous one?
yeah. I thought that might be one of the places where you. With the deed restriction in place. It was a
Okay,
different, those were different
safety,
issues.
But no, it'd be
Right.
safety though, I guess, you know, if you consider the bank collapsing and stuff,
You could add especially
Yeah, you could say-
considering the conditions of, or no,
with the conditions in place.
with the
Subject.
condition in place. Yeah,
condition of approval.
Mhm. Yes, good, thank you.
Number eight, the granting of the area variance to decrease the setback from the lake will not create an undesirable. Change in the character of the neighborhood and will not be a detriment to nearby properties. Number nine, the benefit sought by the applicant to decrease the setback from the lake cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Number 10, the requested area variance to decrease the setback from the lake is substantial. Number 11, the proposed area variance to decrease the setback from the lake will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, subject to the conditions of approval.
Mhm.
And number 12, the alleged difficulty necessitating the request to decrease the setback from the lake is self-created.
That's some fancy wording right there.
Great. English, right?
And then the only thing I changed after that was number 1, conditions of approval. No tree to be removed, including the 6-inch maple at the top of the slope that has been of concern.
Okay, so tell me again with the setback in the lake, that we have X feet right now, from 40 feet to what, 30 feet?
At 30.
Yeah,
Second one's also 75 to
Mhm.
30.
75 feet to what?
30.
To 30. Thank you. Subject to the following conditions. And I'm sorry, did you just read that? Will you read
Yes,
that
you
again?
Yes. Yeah, I added after the tram, no tree will be removed, including the 6-inch maple at the top of the slope that has been of concern. Number 1.
I mean, no trees and including isn't perfect, but I'm okay. What do you think?
I think it's fine.
Okay. We're good for
I like this, I like that, I mean, the tree specifically.
that. Okay.
Right, yeah, that kind of makes sense too.
All right.
So motion
We'll add it
to
again.
approve
Or
as
put it
just
right
read.
here.
This is a good motion, though.
Yes.
It's already on the floor, so anybody want a second
Okay.
motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. Good. Now we can discuss.
The rest.
We can discuss, any discussion, any further discussion on this? It's open for that. Okay, we have a motion, I'm gonna call the vote, how's that sound?
Sounds good to
All
me.
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. And that's unanimous for the voting members here. And what would you say, just in case?
Oh, I would
What
definitely.
would
be
you
voting
have said?
in favor. I would have said aye, for sure.
Just practice, we're practicing.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
no.
the motion carries. Great, thanks with the stipulation. Thanks for sitting.
Thank
through
you.
this and Good luck. We pay attention.
Thank you.
carefully. No, thank you. Good luck with
When
it.
I go home to tap that tree.
I'll make the most of that tree.
Don't cut it down.
Is maple season messed up this year because
It's gonna be. No,
it's been
it's
so
fine.
cold?
This is cold, it's good.
I mean, I know you want like cold nights and warm
No, you want
days,
it to be-
but we haven't had any
Oh,
warm
you want it to
days.
be cold, and then warm up.
Oh, okay.
You don't want the warm and then go back to cold, warm,
Yeah.
because it gets syrup,
Okay.
bitter, and
You know.
it changes the
It'll
sap.
probably just.
I just,
flooding
I
out.
just know in past years, they were already attaching the trees in February and it doesn't look, it doesn't look like this year.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Ritchie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, we'll see you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah,
Looks
you
like next
too.
week we'll finally get a break. You know what the biggest issue for me is? Every year I buy hundreds of bulbs that go on clearance in October. And I wait for the thaw in January to plant them.
It means,
I haven't, no bulb, I haven't, I have like 300 daffodil bulbs that I haven't been able to plant because the ground is as hard as rock.
I know it. I agree.
Yeah, last year I planted like a lot of things, like around January 15th.
They did that.
I actually have a number of
I
potted
keep
plants
forgetting
I
about
bought.
that.
I always
Not that it
like
matters.
buy them,
Okay,
yeah. When they go like 50-75% off, and then I just wait for like the January thaw.
Good training.
I don't know, do we wanna talk about the
Good
training?
night.
So we, good night, good luck, thank you.
Until real late, like I'm sure doing building and I
Yeah,
was
okay.
ready to put in these, spiral foundation things, pretty late. in
You had, you wanna
December.
say something about
Yeah.
training, or was that just an informational
I don't
thing?
think there was any time in January.
Just additional elements, I have.
It's just informational
Just a
that,
reminder.
yeah,
Probably before Christmas.
You
board
wanted-
members.
Need the
I don't
4
know.
hours of training,
But
right?
you're
4 hours of
fully
training.
aware of it and I've already
Yeah.
reached out
It
to
started
trust
late,
that. I
and
Yeah, it was a
actually,
mild, it was a mild winter up
I
until
had the
like
training for the
Christmas.
county, so I might have the
Yeah.
exemption.
Or maybe New Year's.
So,
Maybe New Year's.
This
Yeah,
year?
well,
Have you
my
had it this
husband and
year?
I.
we
that's
do, the
possible.
county does
It
ours,
might have been
by the end of
okay
November,
the
so I
first
finished
week
it
of January,
last
but my husband and I
November,
went.
so
to
Chris is gonna look
Houston
into
After
it.
January
For a
1st,
family holiday.
Yeah, but
By the time
well,
we got
doesn't
back,
They'll look
January.
at it, I figured. Either way, or I'll take it again.
Yep.
It was too hot, the ground
Yeah,
was already
and then
too
there's a whole
hard.
list of state things, is that, did you put a link in there?
But you're right, I think like January
Um,
1, 2, 3.
if not,
and I
I'll-
think-
Hopefully if you find.
I'll send those out, yeah.
We got that at the last minute and I was so glad because
You
there
guys
was
used
not
to
been a
before,
break.
what do you guys
No.
use?
And we had to.
What was
finish,
that?
so
What do you-
it's so
Oh,
good that
what
we
were you
got it.
building?
In the town or the
It
state?
was just for
The
the end
town.
of the state, I was building
Um,
an addition,
Oh,
but I
okay.
just had a little deck stair. coming
That's
up,
a good
but we
question.
just needed
Tressa can,
Something to hold
can,
the post.
yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
So we just, we.
Yeah.
And
It changes every year a little bit, too.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, I mean,
And
There's a list of
at the
things.
county, we
Fine
post,
day for
we
some
do
reason,
it
I
know.
either
before, and then
o'clock or
we force
midnight.
everybody to,
It was real late though.
you know,
Yeah,
so
we
just
got
make
them
sure
in
that.
and.
Well, yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
about this.
November was great. In fact,
Nope.
I planted things.
I mean,
in like
there's a way-
November, Early December.
I talked to
Yeah.
Blixie, she did it last year. It's probably gonna be sometime in
Right.
May, maybe June. In person, there should be a remote option, or, through Zoom. And if not, then there's other options that you can do up to like September or something like that. So
Easy peasy.
more info to come.
Anyway, if you come up with a list, anybody has suggestions, send them our way, and I really like the ones that I can do it sitting there in line. Those are great. I'd love to sit and talk to Nate at some point, we keep saying it, but our town lawyer would be good. It'd be very specific for the board. This board.
And Nate is also, his team is also working on a bunch of requests the planning board sent in for like a special training for streams.
Oh,
And then also for wetlands, because the DEC made some major changes to state regulated wetlands at the beginning of this year.
so when is that planned, a date, Bill?
Haven't heard anything from Nate. I
Okay.
bug him when I feel like I'm not being too much of a pest.
Be a pest.
He's
That's your
busy.
job.
He's busy.
What was his job? He job to be bird dog and a pest, right?
Is the lake a wetland?
Ha.
I know it's in the table, that's how we got that 75
What's
foot
that?
setback.
Well, that's in the table, right? The setback from the lake. So the lake. Okay, so wetlands.
Well,
There are probably at least 5, I think maybe 7 federal agencies that have authority over wetlands. On top of the state, regional, local level. Congress designated the Fish and Wildlife to map wetlands. And then Army Corps to come up with a system for delineation of wetlands. Most agencies have a similar definition of wetland, but they're all sort of nuanced and different. There is sort of a consistency that prevalence of water that can substantiate or facilitate conditions for soil that will allow for a hydrophytic vegetation is considered a wetland. And then there's a distinction that water that is inundated over 6 feet, I believe it's 6 feet, permanently is then classified as a deep water habitat. So the lake is both a deep water habitat and then it's basically the edges are potential for being wetlands.
Okay.
So
And did the setback from the lake change in recent years? I thought it used to be 50.
It
the
is
front
50 on one, in one way, the front yard
front yard setback.
is 50,
Yeah.
but we're allowed a 20% encroachment, so that makes it 40. So he always says 40, which is confusing, but
That's for
you're
the front setback,
Right.
but the lake thing is,
75. If it is within a unique natural area or steep slope,
it's more,
so it's
Oh.
50 if it's outside of that.
Okay, that's what I'm
right?
thinking, and
Well, we
I
did-
don't.
We did change the stream buffers and stuff like that in the past decade.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah,
We got more stringent.
right. It's hard to keep up with everything.
And the
And
states,
the other thing was ephemeral streams and all, we kind of knocked that down, didn't we?
well, there's no term of ephemeral stream,
Intermittent.
intermittent.
Yeah.
That's part of where the request from the planning board came in is because under definitions, intermittent stream is based on a very old USGS map.
Sure.
That hasn't been
They were
updated.
dotted, blue line.
Right.
But-
Yes, yes, but-
You know, but I do think at some point we should talk about the fire risk thing, because, you know, increasingly insurance companies are doing drone
Mhm.
searches.
Mhm.
And they're saying, in fact, my parents who live 30 miles from here, they were told they were gonna be dropped from their insurance if they didn't cut all the trees down that were surrounding their home. And so my parents just cut down,
Oh, that's different though, that's a hazard.
Number
call,
three.
hazard, yeah. Because it's their home insurance,
yeah,
they don't want the damage, right?
right,
I would argue, I'm gonna argue strongly against the fire thing. East of the Mississippi is not really a deal, especially in the Northeast. And with all the climate models and everything, they
but
continues.
what about what happened across the lake?
So when they say fuel load, I don't know what that was, anybody know what that caused that fire?
Yeah, it was very dry conditions, and it was simply a sparking muffler that burned and came very, very close to structures, but it burned,
Conditions were right, and they blew it up the hill or something.
yeah,
was that last year?
yes, because there was so much, you know,
Fuel.
so much fuel, yeah. That's,
Fuel load,
Yeah,
that's why I think when I drive up and down 89, I think dry conditions were at risk. Someone throws out a cigarette butt, which they do all the time. I pick up, you know, probably 10 cigarette butts a week in the summertime from our front yard. And I think someone tosses that and my yard goes up in flames and then the fire runs up the entire lake. Because
it's all trade-offs though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The vegetation, the risk of fire here is, you know, way less than the risk of flood. And because of our climate is getting wetter and, you know, the vegetation, the importance of the vegetation, I mean, out west, you know, ladder fuel is critical. You
Fuel
gotta
load
get rid
on
of
the
ladder
forest
fuel
floor,
anywhere
all
near
that
a
is
structure, you've got but you know, they're also building in Chaparral, which is a fire ecosystem. It needs to burn, it wants to burn and, you know, will burn. And so. Are we
Did
adjourned?
we adjourn?
no, we didn't vote on it yet,
Okay.
shall we?
I have one more thing.
Okay.
Oops.
The town board in their last meeting on the 11th last week might be worth looking into. Something's coming down the pipe. So maybe let me backtrack a little bit. We don't have any applications that were submitted for the March agenda. However, because the town board received a potential donation of land for Brickfield, it's on Cold Springs Road. That's what I'm suggesting board members take a look at that meeting video. They are going to, it sounds as if the town board is going to act as lead agency or declare intent to act as lead agency, not just for the land donation, but also for the required subdivision that's gonna have to take place. So that should come out in next meeting, next week on the 25th. If that goes forward, the planning board will do the review for the subdivision, but town board will act as lead agency for the determination for the environmental review. Tied to that subdivision is going to be a request for an area variance to reduce, it's going to be a panhandle lot. Panhandle lots need to have 50 feet in width, and there's going to be a reduction request down to, I think, 38 feet.
The flag lot, the flag.
No, flag lot. So normally that variance under state law, they've determined as a type 2 action, which means it's exempt from seeker. However, from what I'm hearing, the town board would still like the BZA to review that environmental assessment form for comment. So you don't have to, but the request is that the board review it and provide any comment back to the town board. So that would be the only action item for next month's agenda.
So that's for sure next month?
That would be the only time feasible for the town board to do it, because they'd like to take action on the seeker. This probably the second week of April, which would be before your normal meeting on the 16th. So March,
Special meeting, you're saying?
or you could do a special meeting.
I think he's just saying that have our March meeting and
If you want to, if the board wants to review the FEAF, the full environmental assessment form and provide comment to the town board,
who's filling out that form?
Caitlin. And well, Nate did, and then Caitlin and Elizabeth provided additional comments on it, and I did as well, as far as there's some environmental stuff for soils and stuff that I was able to fill up for them.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't usually do that.
That's the one down.
Yeah, so all the way at the far end of Cold Springs, I imagine.
Where the chicken
The
barns were?
water line goes all the way down to.
It's not that
Well,
far.
okay.
It's kind of right at the curve as it slopes down to
Coda,
Hold on.
Coda,
no, it's
No.
west.
Hold on just a second, I think I've got it.
Curry.
I just find that email.
Oh, it's right there, you see him, like Durham Road? The end of Cold Spring? The upper end,
It's,
the western end?
Belleville.
yeah, it's west of the chicken farm going down to, what is this road? Is it Jacksonville Road?
Oh, it's down in the
Halseyville Road.
Down that way.
west of the two.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What, the meeting?
I mean, we don't usually review those. I don't know how. good
No,
they
we
are.
have to review the.
Well, let's look at the request in the west of the video, the YouTube, and maybe it's something we could do remotely and deliver.
I don't think we can.
No, we can do it. I mean, I'm just wondering if
BZA,
that's something,
we have to meet in person.
yeah.
We can't just say, oh yeah, everybody vote on it. We can't do that.
Are they gonna make a request to us or are you doing it right now?
I'm just providing that information. So
Okay.
next week, I'm expecting the town board to issue the notice of intent to act as lead agency. And then part of that will probably be something in there directing the town supervisor to request and, comment from the planning board and the BZA.
Then you can just
So that's
put
a
out the
comment.
word like. do
So
we
what I
want-
could do is provide that to Steve, and then you can route it out and see if you guys want to meet in March.
And then, but then we have to say yes or no to the flag, that illegal flagpole.
Once that comes in, correct?
Oh, that'll be.
That'll be after
in
the
future,
fact.
right?
yeah.
So basically comment. All right, so you're gonna send it to me and we'll. And then can we do a comment without meeting? We can do that, right?
As individuals, yeah. If you want to act as a board, that should be in a meeting.
All right, we'll do that. Email, we'll figure out what we're gonna do.
Okay,
Don't anybody respond more than two people or one person.
Is the property actually at 5150 Cold Springs? Because it's 15.234 acres, or is that just for the owners that are donating the land? The press release was a little unclear for me.
Let me pull up address.
It's a donation. Wait, you need to vote.
I'm just gonna see, I'm kind of speaking over Neil's shoulder, I wanna see that.
So the land is, the property owners own two parcels. One is 5150 and then 5250 is where the subdivision will be.
Wait, I'm sorry, one more time with the number.
5250.
So it's right in that area, okay.
Who's the owners?
The Pitts,
Pitts, Marvin Pitts.
so it's between
Marvin's
Durley,
house?
There's a,
Another plot of land.
I want to say it's like 18 acres roughly they're proposing to donate. That's a big field out there.
Cool.
and there's already community email going around.
Being negative is probably.
I shall not say either. I shall just say that it's familiar email messaging from the previous group that did a lot of messaging for the Crumbs Corner property. Crumbs Corner?
Wait,
So
no,
for again,
well, okay.
Are we still in the meeting?
Oh.
Is it still,
No, we can,
Okay, where's your,
we can turn that off.
is it still?
Have a motion to
You can
adjourn,
adjourn.
not a motion, all right.
Move to adjourn.
second,
yes,
Aye.
second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.